Hello, and welcome to episode 4, season 2 of the Rufus Neckbone Show. Today's episode is going to be about a guitar that I recently acquired. So far, out of all the guitars that I own currently, this one's probably become my favorite in a relatively short amount of time. There's several reasons for that, but I'll get into some of the details here in just a moment. What I'm trying to do is, with these videos on these guitars, I've tried to put a little bit of a sound sample in there that I used just that guitar to record all the parts of, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what the guitar might sound like in various situations. Most of the stuff I record is going to be pretty heavily distorted, which a lot of these guitars are meant for that type of music anyway, or that's kind of what they're marketed towards. So with that in mind, I had seen a couple other reviews on this guitar online, but not to insult those reviews or anything, because they are a lot better filmed than mine and so forth. But at least one or two of them, they didn't really have a heavily saturated sound or anything. It was just kind of like, some of the complaints in the comments were that you got this metal guitar, obviously, and you're not really showing any type of tone that it is capable of or anything like that. So Anyway, all that being said, I will put the sound clips at the beginning of this video, which you've hopefully already watched when you get to this point, and then I'll go over some of the details that comprise the guitar itself. So I'm going to get right into that. First of all, the guitar is an RG7 PCMLTD is what it's called. That's the full model name. You know how the Ibanez model names are. They're like alphabet soup. But this one is, it's pretty nice. It's got, as you can see, it's got a low pro, I think it's a low pro edge too. I can't remember, but it doesn't sit too high above the body there. It's Floyd Rose type, 7-string. There's not much really to say about that. It has, from what I can tell, I think it's a maple top. Sort of got some figuring in there, but I like this black finish, how it transitions into gray at the front of it. Again, my camera's kind of shitty, so you might not be able to see it that great, but it does look awesome in person. It does have some actual natural color binding all the way around it, which is the top, from what I can tell. It's not a veneer, it's just the actual top that's on the top of the guitar, which is kind of cool. A lot of companies now, especially on guitars that are sub, you know, a couple $1,000s, they kind of skimp out and put a veneer on the top. This is actually a solid top, from what I can tell, so that's kind of cool. It does have DiMarzio PAF7s in the bridge and the neck, which I've been able to get some halfway decent tones out of so far. I like them because they're pretty clear. They don't have the gain, that output that EMGs do, but that's fine. I tend to honestly like passive pickups more than I like active ones anyway. They just tend to pick up the personality of the wood a little bit more than the active pickups do, in my opinion. This one, moving along, it has a curly maple fretboard with stainless steel frets. It is 24 frets. As you can see there, it has mother of pearl inlays on the front and on the top, just like the Strandberg here. It has these dots on the top that actually glow in the dark. If you're in a dark area like a stage or something like that, that can be a huge help, I'm sure. But the stainless steel frets are pretty well finished. They are smooth. They are like glass, really. Along with this fretboard, the fretboard and the frets are really what make this guitar. I mean, it plays like a freaking dream. It's unreal how smooth it plays. But you know, moving along, it's got a lock-in nut like you would expect, and it is an Ibanez premium model, which is, I guess, one step below their prestige Japanese-made models. This one is made in Indonesia, like a lot of the iron labels. But one thing I've noticed about the iron labels, the fret edges needed to be filed down a little bit, whereas these are pretty on point. They're really comfortable. I mean, it's supposed to have the premium fret edge treatment, is what they call it. And I have to say, it's not too shabby. It's really not. I've owned a couple of prestige models too, and this is right up there with them. I don't think there's really a necessity to pay another $1,000+ just to get the prestige, when this one is right there with it. Now, moving along to the back of the guitar, it is a swamp ash body. Yes, I know that's funny, swamp ash, haha. But it has the ZPS2. I think it's the ZPS2. I know it's the ZP system, where it's a 0-point system here for the tremolo, where you can set the bar on it along with the string tension to whatever tuning you're in, and string gauges that you're using. So that way, if you were to break a string, in theory, that bar would help it keep from knocking the tremolo out of whack and throwing all your other strings out of tune. As well as you can do really low dive bombs or really high pull-ups on the bar, and in theory that's supposed to return it back to the 0 point where your tuning is correct. I've had several S series in the past that had the zero resistant bridge and had this set up, and it does seem to work really well. So I haven't really gotten into going crazy on the bar on this one yet. I haven't really had it long enough to, but I'm sure I will in the near future, and I'll report back if there's any issues with that. Moving along, this is another thing that makes this guitar really unique, in my opinion. It's got an 11-piece neck. It's 11 separate pieces of wood in the neck there, and it's absolutely amazing. It's got wings, one little tiny strip of maple, purple heart, another tiny strip of maple, another piece of whinge, Bubinga, and then it repeats on the other side. And this thing is beyond all. I mean, it looks, you can't see it, but it looks amazing in person. And of course that goes all the way up the neck and finishes out there at the headstock. Speaking of the headstock, it does have Goto locking tuning machines on it. The latest iron label that I bought had the same tuning machines, and they are extremely high quality. They're Japanese made. I think the model name on these is Magnum Lock Trads. It does say made in Japan, and they are Gotos. You can't go wrong with those. Gotos have been around for a long time. Other than that, it's got your standard strap buttons, Ibanez strap buttons. So that's really it as far as the features of the guitar are concerned. It does come with a soft/hard shell case. It's kind of interesting. They basically took like a stiff outer shell and put nylon over it. It's got a pocket for a laptop on top of it. Nothing really special or worth going into on that. But overall, the guitar itself, I mean, it's the first RG7 with a tremolo that I've owned with a floating bridge, and I'm not disappointed whatsoever. I mean, for the price, you just can't. I don't think you could do better than this guitar, really. They have 6-string versions available as well, but to the best of my knowledge, I haven't seen one in this particular color pattern other than the 7-string. So, you know, if you're into 6 strings, it'd be worth picking one of those up. But lately, I've just been playing a lot more 7-string stuff, and this one was one that I really wanted to pick up. Again, the neck and the fretboard, it all just works together so well. I mean, the action is extremely low. I've got it set up extremely low. There's 0 fret buzz, and that's something that I've kind of learned to live with on my guitars, is I like to keep the action so low. I usually have to tolerate a tiny little bit of buzz throughout spots on the neck. I mean, of course, I'll adjust the truss rod if it's too bad in some spots, but this one I haven't had to deal with that at all. There's no dead notes anywhere up and down the neck. It's just a very well-made guitar for the money. I think these are running right now anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 American dollars online. It just depends. I'm sure, like most guitars, over time. This one's supposed to be a limited edition, so maybe this is wrong, but over time some guitars tend to go down in value, whereas the vintage stuff, the old stuff, tends to go up. This one here, they said it's a limited edition. I don't know how many of these are going to be made or how many have been made, but if that's the case, it may hold its value. I don't buy guitars for the intrinsic dollar value of them, though. I buy them because they play well, you know, because I want to play them. One last thing before I forget, it does have a 5-way selector switch here, so you can actually split the coils in the pickups, you know, if you so desire. I don't really use the coil top function. It would suit me just fine if it was a 3-way toggle switch, but I mean, for those that would use it, it's nice. I mainly just use bridge and neck, and that's it. That's pretty much it. Again, that's the RG7PCMLTD is the model name. And coming up soon, I know I said on the end of the last video I was going to start doing some more gun videos. I really do need to get on that. The gun store that I work at, we have some post-sample machine guns like a Glock 18, a full auto P90, things of that nature. I want to do some videos on. It's just a matter of finding time to do it because we stay pretty busy, even with the Trump slump going on as far as gun sales. So I'll try and get some of those posted in the near future. Until then, if you have any questions, comments, or if you're just bored, go ahead and post them in the comments section below, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.